Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Bone Podcast, where we discuss all things crypto markets. That includes the majors like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, meme coins, and of course, NFTs. Today, we're going to discuss Circle's massive IPO raise. We're going to talk about some new publicly traded Bitcoin Treasury companies and Vitalik aping into ETH as the Ethereum Foundation updates their Treasury policies. Before we get started, we want to let you know that today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Gemini. Love Gemini, love Gemini, love Gemini. Did you know your credit card points and miles lose value to inflation as they collect dust in your account? Credit card companies often reduce redemption value of your points and miles over time. Imagine a credit card with rewards that can grow in value. With the Gemini Credit Card, you can earn Bitcoin or one of over 50 other cryptocurrencies instantly with no annual fee. Every swipe at the store or gas pump earns you instant rewards deposited straight into your account. Plus, sign up now for a $200 Bitcoin bonus to kickstart your rewards. Visit bodogos.com/Gemini today to get started. Again, if you're looking to invest in Bitcoin but don't know where to start, the Gemini Credit Card makes it easy. Love Gemini, love working with them. Big shout out, sponsor of today's show. Check them out. Awesome card. I'm joined this morning here by Easy and Sig. Sig, it's been a while since we talked, over almost a week now. How you feeling? How you been?
Feeling good, man. Went to touch grass, or I should say I went to touch clay, because I went to the Roland Garros in Paris to go watch the tennis, and I'm telling you, I saw Sabalenka. I saw Sabalenka versus Zheng. I then missed the next game, but then I watched TFO playing the Italian Moretz, I think was his name, and then Alcaraz I saw before he lost. But it was such a good game, honestly. Like, I love watching clay because even though it's slower than grass, it's still just so much fun. And then I'm gonna go and play tennis this evening, because I feel like when you watch your favorite sport or some of your favorite sports and it's live, like not on television. I don't know if you guys find this, like maybe you play basketball and you go watch a game and you're really close to the players and you're watching it, and then you go play your game. I feel like, I'm not saying I become Sabalenka, but I definitely play a better game of tennis when I watch live tennis versus when it's just like I haven't seen any live tennis in ages and I'm just sort of doing a rally. Do you find that easy? Like when you go and watch live basketball and you're like right next to the game, and then when you go play a game with your mates, you're playing a better game because you're watching the pros?
Yeah. I mean, you watch it and you think that you can start to do some of the things they're doing out there. You're just kind of like, oh yeah, I can do that. Like, let me get out there. Let me try this. Let me take a swing here and see what happens. Like, I'm sat pretty close to some of these games, and after I'm always just like, okay, I think I could do this. And then it makes you want to go out there, and then you quickly realize like, oh, they're professionals for a reason.
Honestly, like especially when someone like Tufo does he does a dead drop, like he hits it and he does a dead drop right next to the net, making his opponent run. I mean, I could never do that shot, but it gave me much more confidence on my backhand, just getting it like straight down the line. Anyway, sorry, enough of the tennis game. It's Euro summer. This is our moment. Still got Wimbledon to come in June. I'm going to try and go over and definitely watch that game, some games if I can. But it was good.
Wimbledon's amazing.
It is, isn't it? It's better than Roland Garros, for sure.
Yeah, Wimbledon's the only actual tennis event I've been to live. So like, I think I just like at this point, I think I picked the one to go to. You know, it was awesome. Like, it's July, right? I believe.
Yeah, July. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went last July.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw it was awesome. The venue's unreal. You don't realize how many matches are being played simultaneously. Like the Wimbledon Gardens is crazy. There's like 20 different courts all playing at the same time, but it's sick. It's really cool. It's definitely an experience. There's some sports I never thought I'd see live. Tennis, I saw F1, which is very interesting. Now like Pio and Clemente are obsessed with F1. I can't get behind car racing. I don't really give a shit of watching the car go in the same circle over and over and over and over and over. It doesn't bring me joy. I have zero interest in watching those stupid things just drive and take left turns for 6 hours. I'm good.
I think the thing is that I find with F1, so I had dinner with this F1, it's like somebody who worked in F1, was working for one of the teams. And I was asking him this because I was like, of all the guys that I know, and like girls as well, but like no one in my life is like, I need to go watch the F1 game because it's on, right? But I know plenty of people who do that for basketball and for, you know, many other sports. And I think it just hits a high, like an older demographic. I think it tends to be the people that I've met who are F1 like nutcases. They tend to be like much older, into cars. They tend to have like a car background already, collecting cars, driving nice cars, fixing cars. Like they are car people. And then F1 like taps into that spirit, as opposed to like, I think other sports where you don't need to like have that same kind of passion. I don't know. I kind of feel the same as you, Easy. I think I like the glamour of F1 in certain locations, but not necessarily watching the cars go round and round. And one last thing, I'll tell you why Roland Garros isn't the best one to go for, and then we can go straight into the weather report. But the problem with the French Open is that at lunchtime, so I want to say between 12 and 4, literally all the French disappear off center court because they all go and have lunch and drink wine and talk for hours and smoke cigarettes. And this is like a huge problem because you have lots of empty seats which have been paid for, and the atmosphere drops in the stadium, which I don't think is good for the players as well. But at Wimbledon, and I'm sure I've never been to the US Open and the Australian, this doesn't happen because we all eat quickly and then we get back to our seats. So I would say if you ever have to choose one, don't go to the French one, go to a different one.
I was going to say, every time I watch tennis, it makes me want to fire up, you know, get out there on the court, pick up the sticks and jump into some Mario Tennis 64. That's what it does for me.
I love it, Ray. I love it. It still brings out the enthusiasm. That's all. It's still exercise, you know, it's still exercise on the Wii.
That being said, Sig, let's kick it off with the weather report here.
Yeah, let's get into it. Enough of the sports. Let's get into what's been going on in the markets. It is Thursday, June 5th. Looking at that crypto roundup, the majors, they are slightly up on the day with Bitcoin just under 106K, Ethereum at $2,630, and Solana at 154. Over the past 24 hours, we have some big stories happening. Firstly, Circle's IPO in 15 minutes. They have raised 1.1 billion, selling 34 million shares for $31 each, and landed a 6.9 billion valuation. The stablecoin giant will begin trading today on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker CRCL. Next up, Ethereum holders are rejoicing as founder Vitalik has bought $780,000 worth of ETH. This comes on the heels of the Ethereum Foundation updating their treasury policy to stem selling of ETH while maintaining a 2.5-year runway. Good to see the founder actually buying his own basket. And then finally, we saw multiple new entrants in the crypto treasury space. We got more companies buying. Public gold mining company Bluebird Mining Ventures announced the adoption of a Bitcoin treasury strategy, and Nasdaq media company K-Wave announced a raise of $500 million to implement their Bitcoin reserve strategy. Moral of the story here is if you've got companies like Bluebird buying and you hold zero, you better get on the train. That is all for the weather report. It is back to you in the studio.
Excellent weather report as always, Signal. Interested to see what's going to happen with this Circle launch on the New York Stock Exchange today in just about 17 minutes. That's going to be interesting to check out. I was looking at this K-Wave Media. We've been basically covering all of these kind of like new treasury companies. I've been treating them as like meme stocks. I know we've had our talks on like, are these memes? What's going on with these? I'm going to share the chart here on K-Wave. This one yesterday went on a run after the announcement, went from $2 all the way as high as 640. It's now sitting down pre-market, down 5%. So interesting to see. I haven't looked into too much what they do outside of them raising 500 million via this announcement. Their market cap is 283 million. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen with K-Wave. But then like we also talked about like gold mining companies getting into it, which I find very interesting. Bluebird Mining, which you mentioned in the weather report, is adopting a Bitcoin treasury strategy. So seeing like these traditional like gold mining companies kind of like hedging and like maybe seeing the writing on the wall. If gold is going to like maybe hemorrhage market cap dominance to Bitcoin, makes sense to diversify.
I also saw somewhere, Ray, I think it was maybe on BCheck's post, I saw that there was a coffee shop, like a Spanish coffee shop that had bought Bitcoin as well. And I'm like, bruh, if the coffee shop down the road is like, you know, ahead of you, things are not good. Can you imagine like your local coffee shop has more Bitcoin than you, and and how many years are they late to it? I feel like there's a very clear message being sent right now. And if you don't hold any, you know, that's to your dwelling. That's to your grave.
We talked about that yesterday. Venati Coffee trading on the Bolsa Mercados exchange in Spain. We were looking to figure out how you get some exposure to this yesterday. Nick, welcome to the show. How you feeling today?
Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure.
I mean, I'm just glad to be here. Feeling grateful.
Love it. Love to see it. What's catching your eye in the markets today? Anything you're watching? We got Circle going live here soon.
They're going public right now?
Yeah,
today?
IPO completed. Should be trading 9:30 New York Stock Exchange.
That's crazy. Well, very exciting times there. I'm down on our options position. A little frustrated about that because
we are.
Went from a big gain to literally losing money on that option trade. So I'm not.
Listen, we're gonna hold strong, Nick. They're monthly expirations. We're not selling here just yet. We're flat pre-market on kids, so hopefully we can get a 50-cent move here somehow, some way.
Oh wait, that's right. You guys are still holding that. You missed this one too, Signal. We Nick and Easy traded kids earlier in the week. I think this is right around $4 where you bought this, Nick. Is that about right? You're still up.
Yeah, the stock I'm up on. I mean, if they actually are raising $500 million, then the stock actually should go up. I guess the real question is how much are they going to raise?
Yeah, this is Classover Holdings Inc. They're like a education company, and they had an announcement that they are raising
$500 million worth of Solana.
Yeah, 400 million worth of Sol.
Oh, it's 400
to do a Sol-based Treasury strategy.
I mean, regardless, it would make their stock price go up. It is a weird thing that they're like allocating resources to raise this capital. I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting.
Well, we're seeing like multiple. We're seeing like almost one per day of these new companies that are doing this right now. Like we're seeing this hit like critical mass, which makes me wonder. Like
this trade is very quickly being eliminated.
Right.
You know, I was thinking
we're losing our edge in real time.
When did the options expire?
In like 2 weeks or 10 days.
15 days to 20th.
Okay.
Easy, just like fucking is like, yeah, I'm picking the one from 15 days, whatever. Let's send it. Buys without a limit order, by the way, on his options. So he's down worse than me, which at least makes me feel like I did something semi-intelligent. but I'm still down.
You should have sold yesterday when it was at 5. That's what Ellie says.
Well, I tried to sell yesterday, and it turns out that there's market hours. So when the trade wasn't going through, it was like, cannot trade, cannot trade. I was like, what's wrong? So I called Schwab, and they're like, the market's closed. And I was like, oh, there's trading hours.
Hi, Schwab. I have these kids I'm looking to sell.
I forgot about this.
You're through to the sophisticated investor line. How can I help you?
I felt like an idiot. I'm basically like on the call being like, so I'm down bad.
Well, the worst part is, Nick, like if you called in the morning, they would have been like, sir, that stock's been halted 4 times in the last 15 minutes. Like, what are you doing?
I'm like, I can't get out of this damn thing right now. Like, things are looking pretty down here.
Well, if you sold the halt, like, dude, there was points yesterday where I was going from like up $600 to down 1,000 to up 400 to flat. I was like, dude, the volatility on these options, because these are illiquid. Like, these are terribly illiquid. It was pretty chaotic.
The Solana DFDV has also been pretty ugly out there. It was down 15% yesterday. I'm just like, it hurt a little bit looking at the I mean, the market's no longer excited about this, I guess. How much money are they raising?
They've done a number of different raises. They're doing like different investments in like staking, and then also startups, I believe. So they're not like just straight like sole Treasury, but they are doing some other things too. They have had their own validator. They partner with Bonk to have like some sort of Memecoin validator. I think they purchased a validator as well. So like they're earning like full yield on stake Solana.
I don't know about this. Some of this stuff,
like, dude, it's diluted. Like the old ones that we like thought were like good, like they're like, I mean, they're like diluted at this point because so many new ones are coming in. There's so many options.
Well,
like, why DFDV versus another one?
Yeah, also my timeline is just weird. People talking about MicroStrategy, and they're like, "You got to be looking at this thing that's fully torqued," and it's doing torque analysis basically. And I'm like, so when you're just making up numbers, so they called it the mNAV, which I viewed as the multiple on the NAV. This guy was talking about the monthly payback period on the NAV. And I'm like, what? Months to NAV or something? And I was like, wait, oh, sorry. I think you're calculating this wrong. Like as though they were going to, they were talking about with one of the, I forget the one that Pio really likes, the one that the Toronto based one, but that's
Misty?
getting all, no.
Oh,
Strife?
no, it's like Soul Strategies, maybe.
No, it's none of these are Solana. All the ones he's interested in are Bitcoin. I'm talking about the one that's trading at a 6 mNAV, basically.
You're talking about, so there's Cantor, there's MicroStrategies. Are you sure you're not talking about HODL, the Solana one on the Canadian Stock Exchange?
It's called it basically become the fastest growing. Hold on, dude. I'm gonna look this thing up. It's called it doesn't matter. I'm gonna look up the name of it, but the name does not matter. The bottom line is it was trading at a 6 to 8 mNAV. In other words, like the price was 8 times what they're actually holding. The fact that no one here knows what the name of this thing is, which is
Not
Bitcoin.
a single idea.
I bet it's HODL, and I bet it's Solana.
It's not HODL. It's Metaplanet.
Oh, okay, the Japanese one.
That's not Canadian. That's Japanese.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
but look what it's listed on.
Toronto Stock Exchange.
Oh, okay.
And they don't buy
If you said
Solana.
the
They
Japanese
buy Bitcoin.
Bitcoin one,
Tokyo Stock Exchange.
Exactly, which is what I was.
that's not
just saying.
Toronto. That's not Toronto. That's Tokyo.
Oh, that's the Hang Seng.
Yeah, the Hang Seng, the Japanese carry trade.
Is it?
It's the Tokyo Stock Exchange. If you said the Japanese Bitcoin company, we would have known exactly what you were talking about.
Oh, it is.
You
Japanese.
yapping about Canada?
You said Canada and Solana.
I knew it was Asian. I just didn't know that. I thought.
So you're
CSE
screaming
was
at us.
Toronto. I thought it was Toronto Stock Exchange. When I saw that,
Yeah,
the other day, I
Toronto,
was like,
Tokyo,
what?
potato.
I was
Solana,
like, this is-
Bitcoin.
I was like, this is on. All right. Let's just ignore that part of the conversation. It's all your fault.
Yep.
For heavy
It's
bag
Japanese,
for
eh?
Here, Nick, you suck.
For not understanding it. Anyways, Metaplanet. I saw this thing that was just talking about mNAV being multiples of months, maybe the months to cover. Oh, months to cover is what this guy is saying in our Discord. Dude, the whole thing was just like when we're making up metrics, and don't get me wrong, it's because MicroStrategy has created a new asset class. They're doing financial innovation, and
Oh, Metaplanet Madness. There's a community around this. Love this.
maybe oh, Pia's in that one.
Is he?
Of course. Here, I'm gonna find this mNAV, this thread, and I'm gonna post it in here because you got to find this. It's the most. is ridiculous. Months to cover mNAV is a metric that will take some time to get used to. Okay, here you go. This thread. I'm going to share this thing. Post it in the private chat. Pull up this thread and just like, let's walk through this. Because this let me introduce you to the metric that will fry your CFA's brain like an egg on a burning fiat balance sheet.
I'm in. I'm all in.
mNAV, months to cover. A great way to actually price these Bitcoin monsters. And real quick, there's this is, before we discuss this, here's one other. Maybe we should listen to this video, which is here. I'm sharing this in the private. Then we can go back through this thread. But I think this guy is taking it from this video. So maybe we start with the video, then we go to this one.
It's such a good tease here. He's gonna blow our minds. The time bomb trade, and then yeah, let's watch this other video first.
Scroll down. Let's hear the
Adam
audio.
Back has come up with this very interesting metric, months to mNAV cover. Do you want to maybe just explain that one as well?
Sure. I mean, it's a relatively, I guess, new concept, but
Yeah.
when I saw Adam Back post about it, I thought this is incredibly interesting because, you know, we're all trying to find the right tools to value our companies and to help investors and analysts understand how to value companies like ours. And so the challenge is, how do you connect the mNAV, the multiple to your Bitcoin holdings, to something like BTC yields, something that shows you how fast you're growing? In the traditional world, the faster you grow, the higher the PE you should command. And so the same concept suggests it should apply also for Bitcoin treasury companies.
Yeah.
And so this concept that Adam Back has come up with effectively is connecting your multiple, your mNAV, with how quickly you're growing your Bitcoin per share.
Yeah.
And so the way that it works is you take the mNAV, you divide it by the BTC yield. So that's the function of how fast you're growing. And then you annualize that figure. So
Yeah.
at the time that he announced this, and I think he was referring maybe to us when he did it or to other companies.
Yeah, I think
in
you were
general.
the company that came out as the best performing under months to mNAV cover by that table.
Right. And so when was it? Last week, our mNAV was, I think, 3.3 times. We had doubled our BTC per share over the past quarter. And so I think it was like 3.3 divided by 2, which was the BTC yield, and then annualize that. So it gave about a 5-month.
No, this
room
makes
to cover,
total sense.
I think is the term.
Yeah,
So
this
effectively,
completely
in
adds up.
5 months, we can earn back the premium that the market has assigned to us.
Real quick, there's part of this that makes sense. So the idea
Part of
here is that the amount of Bitcoin per share of stock, that's what they're determining, and the yield is the increase in that. So they're able to increase the amount of Bitcoin per share. The way that
This
they
makes me
do
want to
it-
buy these less.
the way that they do that is through financing methodologies, basically. So, like, let's say I go and borrow money, like I
Yeah.
get debt to go and borrow money, and whatever the math that they're coming up with, they're saying MicroStrategy effectively has a $0 or 0% yield cost on their debt, on their convertibles. And some of the things that I've gone through, I'm like, oh, this actually, like, once I started diving down into it, I was like, okay, I guess this makes sense. But the problem is, if you have debt, you still owe back. Like, there's
There's
that's
money owed.
yeah, it's collateralized. So what I was saying yesterday, or I was chatting with Pio, and I was talking, and I was like, so let's walk through this whole thing and like walk through the risk. And the thing that is not disclosed is the active collateralization of the Bitcoin. So what ends up happening is like there's multiple different approaches to doing this. One way of buying Bitcoin is just issue more shares. And so the market will just absorb all of that. And that basically costs zero to the company, but it devalues the actual like shareholders, right? The one that you're highlighting there, accretive dilution strategy. So that's what MicroStrategy has done heavily against MSTR, as well as their other tickers that they've launched, including their preferred stock. So they have preferred shares which generate yield. And I said, well, how is the yield generated? And the yield is generated by issuing more shares. So there's no actual like operating like capital being generated. At some point, the market will stop supporting the issuing of more shares, right? Like right now, basically, somehow the stock price has continued to like maintain. Let's say we double the number of shares that Apple has all of a sudden, would their stock price just stay the same? Usually, no. Like, usually you wouldn't expect that to happen. But what's happening in this case is they're issuing those shares and then they're directly turning around and buying Bitcoin with it. So that what we're saying now is like there's some that let's say if you doubled it 100% and the mNAV was 1, meaning like there's 1,000 shares there, and basically the cost of the share is directly correlated to the Bitcoin they own. You double it, and now you also just turn all that cash into Bitcoin, then it all works out. I don't fully understand. What is this?
This is Strategy's Bitcoin dashboard.
At some point, the market won't keep paying for this. You exhaust the limit. So my question then is, well, where does the yield come from at that point? Like, where do the preferred shares, where does their yield get generated from? And you argue it's either operating capital, which would be some percentage where you have to look at, well, what percentage when they do a fundraise goes towards Bitcoin? It's close to 100%. I mean, let's call it 95%. So they're getting 5% that's going into cash for operating the business. At some point, you're going to exhaust that, and you have to sell the Bitcoin in order to pay the yield to those different shares. Like, at some point, the market won't keep doing this, basically.
Kind of. I mean, can't you just lend the Bitcoin at an attractive rate, hold the Bitcoin as collateral, and then if you're under the assumption that Bitcoin is going up in price forever,
you mean borrow against
the Bitcoin for yield? Like, isn't that sort of like,
yeah, that's the other
strategy?
option that you have. You can do debt financing for it.
Right.
So you've borrowed money in order to pay the dividends. And there's companies that have done that. Generally speaking, that increases your liabilities on your balance sheet. And at some point, it's going to need to be paid. So you have two options that's going to happen. The Bitcoin's going to go up and the market will pay for more shares, and then you dilute the shares again. That's one option that you have. But if Bitcoin goes down for a long enough period of time, or even stays stagnant for a long enough period of time, it's going to push the price down, and you can't keep doing that, basically. Like, there's some limit to where you can either issue the shares or get the debt. Now, in the case of MicroStrategy, they have so much Bitcoin that they could borrow an insane amount, because does it say right there what the total amount of Bitcoin is that they own?
But also as well, isn't another factor in this is the price at which the Bitcoin was acquired, because MicroStrategy has a buying price which gives them a moat at 30K, while all these other companies are buying at 105, 110. And so their moat is much smaller, and they have to wait much longer for the price to go up. So I feel like that should be a deciding factor if the Bitcoin is being held as collateral when borrowing against.
The premise here is that Bitcoin will always go up. That's like the foundation of Bitcoin. But Bitcoin, even people will tell you, on most days is going down. And the drawdowns often have been over what was I going to say? They use their like, if it goes down 50%, then like the market's not going to keep paying. Like, they still need more capital to come in. There's some limit of cash that they have. If Bitcoin does keep going up, which is the thesis that they have here, and to your point, Signal, MicroStrategy has a low cost basis. Although I think the cost basis now is averaged around 60,000. Did that strategy chart show what the number was there?
No, I don't see it. I can find it pretty quickly though.
Yeah, I can get it also. Average Bitcoin price MicroStrategy. 66,000. So yeah, it's at 66K. And that keeps going up because they're buying a bunch at the current price. There's some limit where they'll stop buying. But that's the risk associated with this is they need the capital to finance the things that they're paying. So the fixed yield that they're providing. Now they have metrics you can figure out what the risk is because you can identify how much cash they need on hand in order to pay all these different things. I haven't done the number on that. But like there's some limit to these things. One of the commenters says it's now 70,000. So yeah, that keeps going up. I don't know that Bitcoin is going to go back to 70K, but maybe. Like
that's
I
right
would
around the levels we were targeting during this last drawdown. So who knows?
Like, and they can sustain for a period of time, but inevitably, like the capital needs to come from somewhere to finance these different things, whether it be, and I don't know what the debt, well, they have 0% coupon. So that means they don't have to pay interest on the debt right now, which is, that part is fascinating.
It also makes me think, like, if you're thinking about going into these companies that are doing this strategy, looking at companies that have a solid treasury. So for example, if Berkshire Hathaway was to start doing this strategy, I would think, first of all, Berkshire Hathaway is not a house of cards, as in before they started making Bitcoin acquisitions, which they haven't, but if they did, I'd be thinking it was a solid company anyway. And then they have such a huge treasury that they can afford to buy Bitcoin out of that treasury and don't have to go and borrow against the market and do what everyone else is doing. Whilst you have these other companies which aren't solid companies and are doing this strategy, and are in the position that you're now talking about, Nick. So I think it's also like looking at what was the company before they even started doing this, and how are they even financing this whole operation? Honestly, if Berkshire started, I'd be like, okay, that's interested, because they have enough money to be able to buy Bitcoin at this price, and it won't dent the future of that company.
You're completely right. Like literally Bitcoin could go to zero. That's the beauty and the argument why the price of Bitcoin will keep going up, because we have this entire transfer from individuals that are selling their Bitcoin over 100K to corporations which are never going to sell it. Like you literally, like they're just going to sit there forever. It's like having their own Fort Knox. Like Fort Knox has never been liquidated. I remember how Trump and Elon
There's
were like,
no gold in Fort Knox.
There's
no gold in Fort Knox.
What happened to that? It was like
they went to Fort Knox and they found the gold, but they couldn't tell anybody that they actually found it because that didn't fit the narrative. But Nick, dude, the other thing, like what I wanted to say was listening to that mNAV thing. Have you ever seen the movie Moneyball?
Yeah.
So you know how they go down those like. Yeah. You know how they have like very specific analytics to like, well, this pitcher on Tuesdays on a rainy afternoon on every second Thursday. That's what it reminds me of. Like you start finding these very hyper specific metrics that fit this narrative that like it's inevitably going to go up forever. Like there's parts of it where like there's still under collateralized debt on this thing. There's still payback periods. There's inherent risk. And like when I listen to PO about like there's no liquidation, there's never an opportunity where this could fail. It makes me believe that opportunity is like very present, that these things could go south.
I would say with there's degrees of risk. Like everyone has greater than zero risk to begin with. Like we all do.
Of course.
We're all trying to hedge our risk.
I have zero risk.
In the case of MicroStrategy, they are lower on the risk curve based on the average price of Bitcoin, which is what Signal was talking about. And then also the fact that they've been able to finance a lot of this stuff at an effective cost close to zero. That's where the brilliance existed. So like if they were able to get convertible shares, which converted into the actual Bitcoin, which is what was being collateralized at a 0% interest rate cost, that's the most brilliant form of this whole thing. But it's still it's still debt. Like there's some obligation that exists out there where this thing needs to be paid, and it's trading on some convertible value. Now, what the convertible value is to MicroStrategy shares. So they actually don't convert to, and the assumption is that the share, and that's how everything is. Like there's collateralization, cross collateralization, all sorts of different versions of this, but there's not like a good chart of being like, so this is to that, this is to this, and here's how this whole thing like everything gets paid out in a liquidation scenario, basically. Now they're doing all the math, and I'm sure if they're going to these financing companies, to the open market, to say, hey, we're going to issue a bond, or we're going to issue this preferred share, this preferred stock, the people doing the due diligence, in theory, are making sure that, yeah, these guys are actually legitimately collateralized. They walked us through the entire thing, and so we're going to give them $100 million. So like, or $1 billion, and that's where the money needs to be coming from. And in the case of Michael Saylor, he's been just like taking every single capital market and saying, how can I create and package a product that capital market is going to give me money for? And in many ways, that aspect of it is like quite brilliant. I just don't have like the chart showing how all these things are collateralized, and everyone's doing creative forms of financing, including like Jack Mahler's company. That's the 21 one, I guess. So that's the thing where I'm just like, I don't know, I'm kind of confused in it, and it's like you have to go and do all the research to figure out what exactly is being done there. Although Jack Mahler came out with a post showing like they show publicly all of the Bitcoin that this thing is collateralized against, so you can see everything that's there. And most companies don't have that sort of like real-time transparency. They don't show you their accounts. And that's kind of the beauty and the argument behind blockchain as a whole, has been that whole transparency thing. So, I mean, there's a lot of cool things to this, and maybe it's just completely right. I own some of these stocks. I own some of the yield generating ones as well that are using options for generating yield, like IMST, I guess is the new one. So it's very cool. It just feels like, how did somebody come up with this like infinite money glitch? And how does that exist? And anytime I like think about that, I'm like, I treat it with a heavy dose of skepticism, especially when a thread like the one shows up where I'm like, you're talking about like it's like exploding brains, because we're like, how is this even, like, did this guy legitimately find the infinite money glitch? He's a smart guy.
Ugh, every time I see something like this, it always reminds me of title of the movie's just gone, but it's about 2008. It has Jeremy Irons as the CEO of Lehman Brothers. Demi Moore's in it, and they're sitting around a board table, and it's September 2008. And Jeremy Irons turns around, and it's because an analyst has just explained what has happened with mortgage-backed securities. And he turns around and says, so you're telling me the music is about to stop and we're about to inherit the biggest bag of human excrement in history?
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful line. Didn't quite get it right, but that's what this always feels like. It starts off being like, all nice, price go up, and then everything becomes a house of cards. And it really was, it really, like, people try to make it sound a lot more clever than it actually is. And then all it takes is for one thread to be pulled. And you don't really know what that thread is. I don't think many people could have predicted that the thread was people couldn't afford to pay their mortgages, and that was the butterfly effect. Something similar will happen here. But it takes time for these things to play out. It's not, I'm not saying it's going to happen in August. I think it can take years for the bad side to play out.
Well, and the biggest trend that's happening right now, which is clear, is companies are buying Bitcoin, and institutions, governments are buying Bitcoin actively, and they're just holding it. And I think that's something that's like, okay, well, why wouldn't I get, like, I should hold this too. And it seems to be quite compelling from that standpoint, which is why, in theory, Michael Saylor's thesis could actually like manifest, where we're seeing Bitcoin at $500,000 or whatever it is, because literally nobody's selling it. They don't care if they're up 500%. Like, I don't know that, or do they? Like, does Harvard sell their long-term investments?
Well, they have liabilities. It's different because those are institutions with liabilities that they need to pay out in the future. So they will only sell in order to be able to pay those debts, right? If you're like Metaplanet, of course you have some liabilities, but they're different. Like the liabilities of a pension fund company will be 30 years out in the future. For a corporate, it could be just 5 or 7 years. And that makes a huge difference as to answering your question, when will they sell it? Because they might not ever sell it, because their liabilities will keep rolling for years and years and years and years and generations. Or they might just have to sell it because their liabilities are only going to be 5 to 7 years out. I know this is a really nuanced conversation, but it's actually a really valid one, because if everyone is buying, if all these corporates and institutions are buying this asset and it's going to sit on their balance sheet, you're making crappy companies potentially productive in the future if the market is saying that holding Bitcoin in your treasury is a productive asset, no matter how crap the underlying company is. Just by holding the asset, it makes it productive. Or we're moving to a world where people will eventually just be like, okay, you're holding it, but the value that you're giving to Bitcoin as an asset on the treasury is too high, and we need to make it a lot lower. So I don't know. I find this conversation really interesting, because it's really going to be answering in the future, how will Bitcoin be valued as an asset on a treasury, which directly also impacts how it's valued from an individual perspective as well.
Yeah. My biggest question is, why isn't the price higher? Like, if all these companies are buying billions of dollars of Bitcoin right now, why isn't the price up?
I like Tom Ho in the comments. He's like, yeah, you guys are talking about all these treasury companies, but I really want to know, Doodles, are they worth buying at these prices?
What's the deal with Doodles right now? Well, they dropped their token. How's that token looking?
Let's bring it up. Is it a Dude token? I'll bring up the token, then I'll bring over their NFT page from our friends over at OpenSea. Doodles token, I'm seeing $24 million market cap. Let's pull it up. Actually, not terrible. It seems like it might have found a bottom. Maybe.
I mean, maybe.
It's no longer just down only. They've came back up over 1 ETH. I'm not buying a Doodle for 1 ETH. I'm buying a Moonbird for 0.8 before I buy a Doodle for 1 ETH. My thought process here is, if you've listened to Spencer talk, if you've been on the show, watching the show, and like thinking about how he talks about like the framework for buying NFTs, it always for him was like, these are just a vehicle to eventually get a token, and Moonbirds doesn't have a token yet. So I'd rather speculate on a cheaper collection without a token for a founder who's understands how token mechanics work with NFTs than one that already has a token that's been almost down only. So that's my opinion on it, Tom. You can make an argument about brand, etc., but I wouldn't buy a Doodle here just because there's other things I would buy.
Do you think he was actually serious with that question?
Yes, 100%. 1,000,000%. Easy. Have you been doing these quests?
Every day.
What quests?
OpenSea.
Don't worry about it.
OpenSea has quests?
Yeah.
Yep. You earn XP, and then you earn crates, and then these will probably turn into C token.
How do you do that? You just click on rewards on the left-hand side?
You just click the XP button or rewards, either one.
Yeah, rewards or XP up here at the top. I bought my.
It takes less than 5 minutes each day.
I bought $5. I bought 1 AVAX worth of Ket today.
I bought Arena.
That's a good one. It had pumped though in the last 24 hours, so I'm trying to like find a potential way to just kind of trade in and out.
Well, yeah, I mean they're liquid, dude. It's $5. Like I can sell it for $5 after I buy it for $5.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty easy. Just have to like pop in every once in a while and do these. As somebody who has a lot of NFT volume on this wallet, holds one of the rare Genesis NFTs. I want to make sure I do all of these in case it's like a multiplier, because if it is some sort of multiplier versus just like flat allocation, I'll be so upset if I didn't do all of these quests.
What? So what happens to your old trading activity?
That also gets rewarded. They confirm that's going to be rewarded. I don't know if this is going to multiply that or just be additive. If it's a multiplier and I don't do it, I would be pissed. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay.
About 5 minutes a day, they add a quest or two. It's basically a token swap or an NFT buy for $5 or more. Pretty easy. Anything else in the NFT space that's been interesting? One thing I saw this morning that's kind of NFT and token adjacent was Project Aeon, the NFT collection for SPX 6900 that Murad's been chilling. This caught some action over the last 24 hours, basically ran up 40%, now over an ETH. Up from, where are we at earlier in this week, 0.85, all the way up over to 1.2 now for these. As Murad continues to shill SPX on the timeline. I know Pio was asking about buying SPX earlier in the week. So when you see Pio interested, that definitely is something. 1 billion.
How's AI Vax doing?
It's down from where we bought.
Okay.
Not terribly. I'm down 10%. I don't know if this is like a high enough market cap to even share on this show. Oh no, we're good. 6.2 mil. This was the AVAX pre-sale. If you're familiar with Ghost, one of the influencers on Avalanche, he's backing this product. We traded this. We spent an hour being completely unproductive as a company on a call, trying to get into this at launch. Thankfully, we didn't get into it when it spiked up to 35 million, and eventually we got in. And I think you're out, Nick. Are you still holding easy?
Yep. I haven't sold any of it.
We'll see how that goes.
You're still holding this thing?
Yep.
Oh my god.
Easy.
If I'm still holding Classover Inc., I think I can still hold this thing too.
How's Classover Inc. doing?
It's down 7.5% today.
Oh my god.
That's not great. Easy. I have something for you. Some alpha for you. Our Tommy, big shout out to our Tommy listener. I don't know if he reached out to you as well yesterday, but Liminal on Hyperliquid opened their vault yesterday, which is like a delta neutral farming vault that offers like API, like high APYs on stables. This has been very popular as like a delta neutral farming strategy. They initially had a vault TVL of 5 mil that was capped at. They raised it to 20 mil yesterday, and it got filled within like half hour. I want to say an hour. This seems to be like a favorite among people on Hyperliquid, and probably will have a token. Essentially, what I did through some help with our Tommy was basically lent my Hyperliquid out on what's called Felix for USDT, converted it to USDC and deposited it into Liminal. So basically, Liminal is delta neutral yield that is above the borrow price of Hype on Felix. So basically, you're earning some yield on like inactive Hyperliquid token. Obviously, you have risk for like liquidation, but you can kind of manage your capital. You can pull out of the Liminal vault whenever. But one play you can do on Hyperliquid while you're holding. So you're like farming a couple protocols. I know you have some size on there, so something that you might want to take a look at next time they open up their TVL.
I'm probably just going to leave it as Hype token.
Yeah. What are your concerns for a strategy like this?
I mean, you have risk. Like if that APY drops and you become under collateralized on it, then you owe more money. So like in order to get your Hype back, now you have to pay out of pocket regardless of the APY. Like it's cool. Sure. I guess so in 30 days I can make 20K. obviously, like I want to hold it longer than 30 days, I guess. I mean, I don't really know what my exit target is on Hype. I just think it goes higher. So I look at this, it seems interesting, but excuse me, all the Bitcoin MicroStrategy talk made me tired. The main thing that I think about here is like you just have a lot of risk. Why not just hold Hype? Like that's how I look at it. I'm like, I don't really want to deposit 6 figures into this and lend it out on another platform and then forget I even own it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, where the fuck is my money?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not babysitting this, you're definitely in trouble. Like, also in trouble for like a flash crash if I get liquidated on my like loan I have out that I'm borrowing. I mean, I could get liquidated there. I mean, there's definitely risk, and especially if you forget about it and the market draws down and then you hit your liquidation price, and you're in like a ton of trouble. But yeah, I mean, the way I look at it, if Hype goes down and gets close to my liquidation price, I have no issue buying more Hype and depositing it into that vault to increase my TVL. It's like kind of DCAing into Hype at a lower price. But yeah, I just want to know your concerns for something like this because I haven't done as much of this looping, essentially, is what this is. And I'm just like trying to make sure I have my bases covered and know what to pay attention to in case things like start to go south.
I'm just gonna, not participate.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm just gonna hold my Hype, and I'm perfectly content just holding my Hype.
Gotcha. And
Like-
no interest in like protocol farming on the platform at
No,
all. Okay.
no. I'd rather just bet on the house. Like I'm betting on the casino here.
That's fair. That's fair. And then, I mean, it's a clean trade too. You don't have to worry about anything else. You're basically, you have the thesis on
I
Hype.
have no funding risk. I have nothing. I'm just holding spot Hype in size. And if we catch a 2, if we catch a 3x, that's a beautiful trade. You know what I mean? Like I'm perfectly content this going over $100 and hanging out. Like that's great. We just cleaned a clear 200K. Not a bad trade. You know what I mean? Like, dude, you do that every year. You're hanging out. You can do absolutely jack shit the rest of the year.
Yeah, easy. I don't know why you do that. Why do you click so many buttons? You seem to make 1 to 2 of these trades per year. Just stop clicking the other buttons.
I don't know. It's just more fun. Like I have trades open right now just because like I'm trying stuff. I just enjoy the Solana trenches, dude. I think it's a weird fixated dopamine addiction that I can't break, and I'm comfortable. Like I'm like, yeah, fuck it. Also, if I lose money there, it's a great tax write-off. Like
I saw some
at that
Elon
point-
yesterday on the Solana side.
Is that because you're speculating that they'll get an airdrop?
Maybe. I'm speculating that people are speculating it. I bought on this dip after we had that initial run up.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. Once again, I'm in like some stupid fucking coins, but like I've made like 4 or 5 souls.
short?
No, I'm in. There's one you actually bought yesterday that I'm in now today. Gantu.
Oh, you bought Gantu.
Dude, it's at like
Not the one that I got
280K.
run on, right?
It might be.
Jeez. No, remember I bought like a new launch. We actually looked at this on the stream. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
we looked
the
at this,
chart looked
like,
really good.
Yeah.
That was why the chart this morning when I was streaming looked really good because I'm just going into Mobi Screener because they have like some really good analytics that I can look at stuff from like the last 8 hours, 4 hours, 2 hours, hour.
Can you pull that up?
See whale buys?
What it
Yeah.
is? I think
So like it's a DEX screener competitor that you don't need Mobi token to get like the basic feature functionality out of. So like if you see here, this is what I'm just looking at over the last 4 hours. We have 24 hours. So I went on the 24 hour, filtered by small cap. So things that are under, I think it's like 5 mil. I think mid cap is 25 here, large cap. There's no new coins that are in that range. But like mid cap is 10 to 100, small caps under 10 mil. I go to the new coins, filter by age. So we can quickly see like what's trading and where. And then I can see like what whales are buying what. So like iCoin was a trade I made this morning, which I was like comfortable on. I like this chart, bought it around here. Got stopped out initially because it dipped back. I should have just held, bought back in on the break right around here and sold right around here for like a 50% gain. So like I'm just swing trading some of these on the charts, which look good to me based on like where you're seeing whale activity. So if I look at that, for example, we have Icon was the one here at number 12 over the last 24 hours. We can see net flows of how much tokens being bought or sold and how much USD value is being bought or sold. So if we filter by like net flows into that, Kill Bill and Icon are the two highest whale buys, highest whale trades, buys outweigh the sells, and we can see how many tokens are either going into whales' hands or out, and what the capital flow is. So like I'm in both of these. I'm in Kill Bill and I'm in Gantu now. I got out of iCoin. The Kill Bill chart looks good. I'm up 16% on that. Gantu was on here as well, which is what I saw this morning. Probably off now. I don't know where I went, but might even be too low. Oh no, it's just an older coin. It's past 24 hours. That was why. So it's past 24 hours, but same idea. 5% net inflows, so it had one of the higher net supply inflows, only 10K, but I was more interested in how many of the tokens went to a whale. So one whale made 4 trades buying 5% of the supply, which was interesting to me. Popped open the chart, and the chart just looked really good. Like, it's just grinding higher. So when I got in, it was like right around here, probably a little higher, right around 200K. So we're up almost 40% on that right now. So like I was just using the data that's presented and being able to trade some of these lower cap memes, which are more volatile. So I just set a stop loss at 50% and take profit at 50% and see if we can catch it off of these support and resistance areas, which like I've been doing pretty well with. Yesterday it happened with Tom Cruise, which was like a great trade. I talked about it on like a thread I did where I was like, this thing is the most interesting to me. And it was dumb. Like, dude, this thing's now at 2.5 mil. Like,
This is so dumb. I love it.
it's so dumb. But yesterday we got in like right here.
Show Sig the image of this this token. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Tom Cruise.
I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan.
It's
Like
well, it's
specifically Mission Impossible. Specifically.
It's a cruise ship with his face just plastered on it.
Actually, but easy. I wanted to ask you because with the whole Pump.fun news that's come out, so a couple of questions. So one, is it too big to fail? And two, with the raise, if the raise goes well, do you think it pumps Solana ecosystem more? I'm not talking about Solana price. I'm talking about like just the ecosystem more. If it fails, do you think it kills the ecosystem? Like out of those two scenarios, what are your thoughts?
I don't think it kills the ecosystem, like at all. I do think it's a big liquidity extraction event, which is very tough. I think that's the main thing that a lot of people are like trying to figure out and make sure they're aware for or like ready for. Because when you have a big raise like that, like, dude, they're raising 800 mil supposedly, or 1 billion, 800 from retail, 200 from VCs. That's a ton of capital. So I expect like when that raise is finally announced, a lot of tokens sell off because people are going to try to hoard capital to be able to participate. I don't really think I'm going to participate. Like maybe I miss a 2 or 3x, but I don't really care. Like as bad as that sounds, I'm not terribly worried about missing it. Like sure, it can go much higher. I look at things like if they go the casino route, you have stuff like Rollbit, which is interesting. But overall, why would I want to be involved in that? Like that's the thing. Like at 4 bill FTV, you have Hype trading at a 12 bill. Hype putting 100% of funds back. Pump.fun has done 0. If they put back 25%, that means they're putting back 250 mil. Then maybe you get a 2.5x up to 10 bill. So like as I think about it, it's like I don't want to put substantial capital in for a 2.5x. Like I've already done that with Hype. So I'd rather keep that position open, which is already proven they're not extractive and are trying to give more back to that ecosystem versus Pump.fun, which hasn't given any Solana back. They've just dumped money.
One thing that's like wild. One thing that's wild to think about is that Circle just raised 1.1 billion, like in their IPO, at like a 20% higher valuation than what public's going to get in from Pump.fun. And I just don't think that Pump.fun and like Circle's not like Pump.fun's not on the level of Circle in terms of valuation.
Yeah, and they also, I mean, they're making $1 billion a year, which is fucking nuts. Like, dude, that's a ton of money. Like, that's so much money. At their eval, they're 4 years of complete return on capital raise, which is crazy. But you have to think, too, there's also investors that got in at 12 mil and 250 mil. So, like, both of those people, as unlocks happen, and once we get a better insight into tokenomics, those people are going to be the ones that are going to be dumping a decent token supply, you know? So, like, there's going to be inherent sell pressure. Yeah, just the more I think about it, the less I want to be involved in it when I can buy something very similar with Hype that's already proving to be just dominating. Yeah, so I mean, Circle made 6.3 bill in the last 24 hours.
6.3 mil over the last 24 hours. So they're making like 5x Pump.fun revenue.
Yeah. So I mean, Pump.fun rev, even at current prices, is right around 350, 360 a year, which is great. Like that's an incredible business, dude. That is an absolutely incredible business. Circle also raised at a 7 bill FTV, right? So they raised 2 bill higher than Pump.fun, making 6x revenue. It just makes me think Circle's undervalued.
Or is my other thought is, hey, Pump.fun leaked these like crazy numbers, or like initially offered these crazy numbers knowing they'd be leaked. So when they come in at a lower valuation that's still very high, it's going to be viewed as like this awesome opportunity and see like sustained interest. Like Anson was on that guy's stream yesterday. He's like, I don't know if they're going to be able to fill a 1 bill raise.
I think they will.
Yeah.
I think they can, but I think it's more about like, because the company has so much significance in the Solana space, I do think how they conduct themselves as a business and as founders has an impact. I mean, easy, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like it has an impact on the whole ecosystem. So if the community feels like they don't care about us, the attention will just go over to a different ecosystem. And it feels like the founders are just going to extract a huge. So my biggest concern is that the founders are going to extract a huge amount, and then it's kind of like, we've got our bag and then peace out. And as a product, it just sort of ends up going down over the last 12 months, over the next 12 months. And then that in itself, even though Solana within the ecosystem is doing its own thing, there's lots of really interesting companies on there, really interesting teams that are working really hard, because Pump.fun is kind of like the flagship product at this time with the most attention. What they do does impact the ecosystem. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
I mean, I think like how much money they're trying to get is the biggest thing. Like that's the thing that keeps like 800 mil from a public sale is crazy. It's a lot of money. I do think they could probably fill it, but like now I'm thinking about what if they don't? Then what?
Yeah, that was a concern. That's why I think maybe they came up with this very high number and then they go lower and then everyone rejoices. Everything pumps. They announced the holder airdrop. I don't know if like that's in their DNA. Just like keen eye, like how they've operated. Just seems like they are looking to pull profit at all costs without rewarding anybody necessarily. Like even the when they started giving like Pump.fun devs fees, that was like an additional fee on top of their other one. They didn't like remove their existing fee and like transfer that over. They added an additional fee on traders. So like they've been a platform that has been historically not friendly to retail. And I think that's like the difference between a Pump.fun and like a Hyperliquid, in my eyes.
Yeah.
But I mean, they know that too. I think they have to be aware of that perception. I think they're smart people and they know that. So maybe this could be a chance to.
What if they just raised around themselves? Like, what if they just dump 600 mil into the thing? Like, that's not off the table.
Yeah, I mean, they have been pulling cash off of the table constantly. You know, I mean, say what you will about like selling Solana for USDC, but like people like are giving them a hard time. But like that's what you do as a business to like decrease risk, pay operating expenses.
You can't spend Solana to offer the business.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think we covered that pretty well. I've got a couple of things left. Just quick hitter news to keep everyone informed. Trump held a call with Chinese leader Xi today. Russia's largest exchange is allowing Bitcoin futures trading. California passed a bill that allows the state to seize Bitcoin. They passed the House, so it's pass the Senate. But this basically lets the state seize Bitcoin left idle on exchanges for 3 years. It's not like it's not trying to steal people's Bitcoin. This is basically like putting Bitcoin into an existing law. So basically, if you have like an exchange account and you log into it ever, you're gonna not have your Bitcoin taken away. But like if you don't log into an exchange account for 3 years, they basically custody your Bitcoin and then like send you like snail mail saying like, hey, we have your Bitcoin. You haven't shown ownership. You can claim it here. And they can't sell the Bitcoin. It basically sits in their like in their control, like the state's control. So it's a no big deal. If you see a lot of people like yapping on the timeline complaining about it, I wouldn't be concerned about it. And then we also saw 3Jane get a raise from Paradigm of $5.2 million. They're going to create money market, credit-based money markets on Ethereum. I thought this one was kind of interesting. Essentially, like how credit and like how loans work in the real world is like they look at your credit score, they look at your assets, and they give you a loan without collateral. And basically, 3Jane is trying to do this on chain. So they're using like I think ZK proofs to look at like off-chain credit and dealing with off-chain credit issuers so that you can basically take on-chain loans without putting funds down. So I think this is going to be interesting to watch. Probably wreck some people who are deep into crypto, who have a decent credit score. But I thought this is one that was pretty cool, and it is something we haven't seen yet in the crypto space. Would you take out a 0% crypto loan easy?
No,
No.
I have no interest in doing that. I mean, I had everyone think I took out a 100K loan to buy Sol. So like, people definitely are.
Oh, sorry, no, an additional loan in addition to that other loan you took. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah. Come on. No, I don't know.
I like see
Not
somebody
ready for
being
it.
like, "Oh shoot, there's like a big mint coming up. I'm going to take out a huge loan to be able to pay for it." I think it's going to wreck some people. Oh, there we go. Tom Ho came through. Thanks, Ray. I was serious. I just woke up. That's why the question came out of left field. It wakes up, thinks about Doodles, gets it answered on our show. Anything else you guys want to chat about before we wrap today?
No, let's wrap, man. We've covered some good stuff. Probably a bit too heavy on the early Bitcoin conversation. I think we caught Nick in a post PO conversation that dominated it. But it's you know what? It's interesting times. It's interesting times. I think we're going to see. I think the landscape of 2026 is going to look very different compared to now. Even the end of Q4, I think it's going to look very different to what we've had since beginning of Q1. So I don't know. Keep your eyes on the price this summer. I think things are going to move fast. The tectonic plates are shifting.
Yep, definitely. And I've been watching Circle. They still haven't launched. Sometimes the IPOs get delayed till like at least 11. So we missed catching the open live. Maybe we'll talk about that on the show tomorrow when we see what happens there. But thank you all for listening. It's been a wonderful show. Thank you all for joining us. Always, we do this show Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. You can catch us on all major podcasting platforms, Spotify, Apple. You can watch us back on YouTube, see what we're talking about, see our charts in real time. Thanks again for listening.